Hello, Patreon and other listeners, because this will be our first Patreon section that we're releasing free to the wider masses, just to see if this is the kind of thing that you want to actually pay us money to do. We do only have one tier. It's $5 a month. So for everybody else in the world who has a stronger currency than me, you're getting a really good deal. And for those of you that perhaps don't know who we are, you should know who we are if you're paying for Patreon. I'm Adam and I'm joined by Fenris.
Well, any episode could be someone's first episode.
Yeah,
But
that's
wait,
true.
this is the
That's true.
Patreon content, so never mind. Hi, I'm
Well,
Fenris. I don't know what I'm talking about.
so Fenris and I have had a chat because we would like to play some games that are super expensive down the track. I know the big one for myself is Stellar Blade, and I looked at it today, even on the gaming deal site, and it's like, this is $87 from the dodgiest key site that does stuff the cheapest. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to pay $87 for Stellar Blade. Um, so so it's like, well, here's a Patreon. It can help us do stuff like purchase better mics or have better hosting platforms. Because again, talking with other podcasters today, everything in terms of marketing or advertising requires paid promotion to really get itself out there. Hey, you need to subscribe to everything. Wants you to subscribe to a service, pay a monthly fee, just to be able to talk about games for fun. It's pretty crazy when you think about it, but yeah, so basically just the stuff to help us keep the lights on here at the Spectre Approved studio.
And it costs money to make money.
That it does, unfortunately. Unless my Bitcoin, my 0.006 of Bitcoin jumps up into the thousands, I won't be doing anything like that soon again.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine at work today, and he mentioned that he bought some Bitcoin years and years ago. He put like $2 in, and now it's up to $22. So,
Woo!
it's something.
Hey, it's not nothing. It's gone up. That's the main thing. I haven't really touched on crypto too much. I remember when I was in defense, everyone was like all into that kind of thing. And I do wish I'd chucked more money into it, because there were some boys that put like thousands of dollars, $1,000 into Bitcoin, say, when it was at its lowest. And they'd probably be able to retire now unless they pulled it out early. But I just remember it being super funny that like a coin that was like based on a meme, that Dogecoin, I chucked, $100 into it at the time. And then Elon bloody did his thing there where he artificially bumped it up.
Yeah.
And it went up to like 1,000, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to take this out, because it crashed shortly after as well. But I got taxed on that 50% by my government anyway, so it's like, you can't win either way. Like,
You
they
didn't really
knew
make
about
anything
it.
off of that.
Yeah, like, because I had it linked to my bank account, my personal bank account. They knew straight away. Like, I didn't even have to put in my tax return. They're like, you earned $1,000 profit on crypto. We're going to tax that 50%. And I'm like, well, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of stumbled into the Bitcoin thing a little late, and by the time I got into it or knew about it, it was already like $1,000.
Yep. And keep in mind, people that do want to subscribe to Patreon, this won't be us talking about Bitcoin. We do have a format of it, of a general, basically, what we've been doing in terms of our gaming. We've got the anime corner, and we've also got a top 3 questions section. So those things will be concurrent across every Patreon episode. And if you want to find the site to sign up, it's www.patreon.com/SpectreApproved. Easy peasy.
Alright.
And even if you don't sign up, we still love you.
Absolutely.
So Fenris, what's been going on with your gaming the last 2 weeks?
Haven't really been feeling the games for the past fortnight.
Hmm.
Uh, I tried to get back into Resident Evil 4 because I had it in my head that I was gonna do a, like, I want to say it's a default weapon, but it's the most basic weapon that you can get that is technically the worst, but it's the first of the iterations you can get throughout the game. And, I just kind of fell off of it. And then 14, we finally got a house, and 14, which a lot of people probably aren't going to know what that means, but my FC got a house, which is difficult to do.
Yeah, I don't play, and I knew it was a big deal when you said it. So I think the zeitgeist, just getting a house either in the virtual world or in real life, is hard. I think at the moment.
Yeah,
So good on you guys. That's a big accomplishment.
it is. Um, I started the next game that is coming up from the wheel, and Sinking City, which is a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
What about you?
I did a hell of a lot of gaming this fortnight because whilst I beat Sinking City, I was glad to have beaten it early on. Um, I've also been playing the game from the wheel. I don't think. Yeah, we can name it here. It's Persona 1. I think I've already.
Yeah.
I've put the next 4 games, I think, up in the Discord anyway for people to leave contributions about their time with it. So it's not a secret. You guys know what's coming. Yeah, so I've been playing that on PC using the PSP emulator. It's been interesting time so far. And I'll talk about more next episode, but I'm a long time Shin Megami Tensei fan, so a lot of the systems and stuff are like I know what I'm doing, so I'm able to breeze through it quite a bit, as compared to perhaps what the experience you're having, Fenris. However, it's definitely a product of 1998 for sure. But
It
more
it
about that
is.
in 2 weeks.
It very much is.
I've been playing Crime Scene Cleaner again. That's just like my chill game, I guess. Because it's basically like Power Wash Simulator, just with blood and body parts. Um, and I've been actually having a good time with the Tomb Raider remake.
Yeah.
I've gone back to the original one. I don't know. I would recommend people go listen to the Steam Machine episode on it, because I haven't played it prior to listening to it, and I know they really did not have a fun time with it.
Wait,
But
hold on. Just for clarification's sake, do you mean the 1 through 3 remaster or the 2019 remake?
no, the 2018 remake,
Or it was the
2019
2018 remake? Okay. See, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that one. I thought it
Okay.
was really well done. Yeah.
Okay, because I know the boys over there hated both the remake and the remaster of 1 through 3. Um, I'm comparing it to Uncharted because that's my only point of reference, and it's a lot better than Uncharted.
See,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say my only experience with Uncharted is I think it was the very first one on 360, and the combat is terrible. I couldn't get over the combat.
Yeah. Um, it shares a lot of DNA, I feel, because obviously Uncharted was a reimagining of a male version of Tomb Raider, which was back in what, 96?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. PS1 and Sega Master System, I think. Whatever. You guys probably had Mega Drive over there.
So something like that, yeah.
So, obviously, Uncharted was a reimagining of that, and then we've got the remake of the Tomb Raider, the Lara Croft Tomb Raider now. Yeah, I'm really enjoying my time with it. And I've dropped a couple of games. They just weren't for me. The Battletoads remake, which which is a side-scrolling brawler, which none of them are really my cup of tea. I really got into the Ninja Turtle ones just because it's Ninja Turtles. And I've dropped Dark Souls again because it is too hard. But that is it for gaming. Also, Patreon's going to be a bit more risque. I know Fenris and I try and keep it as family friendly as we can on the main pod. But yeah, Patreon's probably going to see us a lot more foul language and a lot more topics that the lovely degenerates that pay for us to talk about can talk about. Because I've also been playing a hentai game. So skip ahead 2 minutes if you don't want to listen about that. It's a hentai tennis game. I've forgotten the exact name. It is Academy Love Saga Tennis Angels EX. So the high quality production with the title there. It cost me $4 on Steam, and it's like, this is a tennis game because it actually does have mechanics of tennis. It's not just a point and click or a visual novel. But if you do like your special shot at the right time, the lady's clothes fly off. And there's also, yeah, it's it's a classic hentai game, man. But the tennis mechanics in it aren't actually too bad, and the H scenes are fully skippable in the visual novel aspect of it. So overall, it's not that bad. And props on Steam for releasing the uncensored version without needing a patch as well. So yeah, I've been playing that. I've nearly beaten it already. It's only those 1 hour kind of, they use the sex appeal to sell it kind of thing. But compared to most that I've dabbled in, this one actually it's got mechanics that aren't related to sex. Like, you can play a full tennis game. You can treat it as a tennis game. By no means is it anywhere as like mechanically sound as like topspin tennis. It's very much on the end of like a franchise Mario Tennis or a Sega Masters Tennis, in terms of the gameplay. But you know, for $4, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I don't play games like that.
Fair enough.
Not that I have anything against them.
Who was like, I will read a fucked up visual novel. Don't tempt me.
Well, it's two different sides of the relative same coin.
Fair enough.
And it's like, I mean, I have played games like that, but like, I try not to talk about those kinds of games because, you know, I am gay, and, you know, not a lot of people want to hear about that.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, and like, everyone is the way they are. Like, I'll happily say that I'm a straight cis male, but I don't begrudge anyone else what they're into. I actually really enjoy it when games offer both a male and female romance option. Obviously, this one didn't, because most hentai games cater to straight males, unfortunately. But a game that we'll play much, much later for the series, Dragon Age Valguard, had one of the best male-to-male romances that I've ever participated in a game in. You've played Valguard, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The male romance you can do with a male rook in that is some of the best video game writing I've ever seen. And same with
which
Emmerich.
romance was that? Emmerich?
Yeah.
Okay. Emmerich. I don't think I did. I don't think on my first playthrough, I don't think I romanced anyone. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Emmerich was one that I really wanted to do just because I really enjoyed his character.
Yeah, 100%. And your nom de plume, Fenris in Dragon Age 2, one of the best romances in that game for a male hawk, I feel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, people. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why they kind of fall to the cis male gaze in terms of romances, but I can understand that they figure that's what's going to sell. But at least have the option there. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
nowadays it would just be too woke.
that's true. That's true. Anything else you want to touch on with gaming?
Uh, no, I think that's about it.
No.
Oh, I picked up an indie RPG that was on
Okay.
sale for like
Yep.
$5 or something like that. Called Evo Land.
Oh yeah, nice. Yep.
Yeah, it
Really
was.
good game. I got that on Switch.
Yeah, it was it was the version of it that had both the original game and the sequel. So I was like, oh,
Okay.
that's relatively cheap, so I'll grab it.
Yeah, really interesting mechanics in that game.
I liked it because what drew me to it was the fact that as you play the game, the graphics of it kind of go through the ages of RPGs. Like you start with like the overly pixelated like Pokemon kind of graphics,
Yep.
and then over the course, I guess as you play the game, the graphics get better to like modern day Pokemon graphics.
Yeah.
And it just seemed really interesting, so I was like, oh, I'll get that.
Yeah, that's the trope that I really like. I bought a game this week as well. Well, two games, actually. Because I've just figured on Steam you can sort by date added to library. So that's really helpful. I bought Final Fantasy Type Zero. Um, it's a game I've been meaning to buy for a long, long time. A side story that I've always been interested in.
Yeah.
PSP or PS Vita game, I believe originally. So we'll see how it goes on PC. And I also bought Long Gone Days, which is a really interesting visual novel about the nature of war and child soldiers returning from war. So I'm going to do a playthrough of that one before I recommend it, because I've really lost confidence recommending Sinking City and then it being shit. So,
You
spoilers.
can't win them all. You can't win them all.
I'm going to do one run through of this game because I also bought it for you, Fenris, and I'm like,
Oh
oh, we
shit.
got to check this game out. And yeah, that's the one I sent you the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this will be a host pick down the track if it's good, but I'm going to do one run through just to make sure.
Okay.
Anime Corner. New season of anime is rolling through nicely. Most shows have about 3 or 4 episodes now. I don't know how current you stay, but there are definitely some seasons of stuff that I'm looking forward to this year or this season.
Mm-hmm.
I've finished Hunter x Hunter now. It was alright. Like, it was great overall. Just the end part of the Chimera Ant arc and the chairman selection arc were pretty okay. Nothing great. And obviously with the manga discontinuing for a period of time, they obviously did the right thing by cutting it where it did. But hopefully that will see a conclusion at some point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been
Go ahead.
I've started Dun 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 season 2, which has just been fucking amazing as always with that anime.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to getting started on that one, but I have mad choice paralysis, and my backlog for anime is everyone else's backlog for video games. So I have over. It's probably close to 300 anime on my backlog. So I also made a wheel for anime years ago, and so but this first one I started watching is called Lord of the Mysteries, and it's a new anime this season, and it's interesting. Um, Something about like 1920s somewhere. There's like powers, and it's it's really fucking weird. Like, but usually there's a lot of exposition in the first episode, just to kind of like a lore dump to kind of get everybody into where they're at and what's going on. And there wasn't really much of that. But over the course of the 4 episodes that I watched, they slowly started explaining more and more and more. And it's pretty good. Like, I'm starting to pick up on where it's going and what's going on. But and then I spun the wheel and got My Hero Academia, so I've been rewatching that because it finally ended, what, last year or something? And then
I think we got 7 seasons at the moment, plus 1 season
yeah.
of Vigilantes, with season 8 coming out later this year or next year, early next year.
Oh, I thought My Hero Academia was finished. Okay.
No, the manga finished recent or sort of recently, but yeah, I think there's still 1 more season to go.
Got it. So hopefully I'll finish that by the time the final season comes out. Possible final season. Um, so yeah, I've just been watching MHA and then Lord of the Mysteries in interim.
Nice. Yeah, from what you said, that's made me put Lord of the Mysteries on my backlog. I want to wait until a few more episodes come out, because if I love it, I'm going to want to binge it. And I shot myself in the foot doing that last season with To Be Hero X, which is a manhwa turned anime about like superhero tournament style type thing. Absolutely fantastic. And I shot myself in the foot because I started watching it when there were like 3 episodes out, and I watched all 3 in a sitting. And then I'm like, oh shit, now I'm back to week.
Yeah, so the last anime I watched was Frieren, and that was fantastic. Um, and it was one that I chose because I kind of got pressured into it, and I couldn't think of anything that I really wanted to watch, and I was like, you know what, I'll just choose Frieren. And so when I finished that, I was thinking of, you know, Lord of the Mysteries and how it just released, and I was like, I'm gonna choose this one too, and then I'll spin the wheel because it just released, and so
Yeah, I got about 10 episodes through Free, I just wasn't feeling it at the time. I only really watch anime at night once the kids are in bed, and if I'm falling asleep during it, which nothing against Freya, and it does have an awesome story, I will give it that, but it's just not engaging enough to keep me awake when I'm already tired. So I fell asleep through that. So I'm like, oh, if I'm going to keep falling asleep and missing stuff, I'll move on to something else.
yeah. The first quarter of Frieren is definitely a lot of exposition and a slow burn to get to know the world and the things that are going on. And what I really came to enjoy was the fact that the story is what happens after the hero party saves the day and saves the world. Because you don't really get too many stories about that. It's just them on the quest to beat the big bad evil guy, and then they kill him, and then that's it. Story over. Happy ending.
Yep.
But I really enjoyed it, and I realize it's not everybody's cup of tea, but
It was number 1 in the world there for a minute.
oh yeah.
So it's obviously got people that love it a lot. But then I think it got review bombed like it does when anything beats out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and it dropped down. I don't know where it's at. I haven't used Mal for ages. I use a couple of other databases to track my anime. So
I don't really look at ratings. I just use Mel for keeping up with my backlog.
yep. And then the final kind of entry into the Patreon section for today is our top threes. So these can be generated by you, the listeners, or I just make up something that's related to what we're playing. So for this first one, because we didn't have any subscribing patrons at the time when I made the question, is what are the top 3 elements that make survival horror games truly terrifying?
That's actually a really good question.
Hmm.
And I think my first answer is going to have to be atmosphere.
Elaborate.
So, for instance, in the game we will be reviewing in a minute, Sinking City, the atmosphere is great. Everything was dark. There was a creepy vibe to everything. And another example, Resident Evil. You're in a pseudo apocalyptic city where everything's on fire and it's raining and there's absolutely no one on the streets because everyone's dead. But it's just things like that I feel make a really good atmosphere for survival horror games.
Yep. Cool. My number 3 answer, so not my top one, is music. Because I can play video games without music and not feel much of anything in terms of fear, or it really loses impact when a game either has no music or bad music associated with what we're feeling. When a score is done right, it can put my anxiety through the roof and nothing can be even going on. I can be walking through an area that I know enemies won't attack me, but because the music tells me that something is going to happen, my brain thinks something's going to happen. Good one for this is the start of Alien Isolation. At the start of that game, that 100% you can't get jumped by the alien, and I knew that going into it. But the music that's going on in those sections as you're walking through the ship is just like, crap, was what I read right? Did someone lie to me? Can I actually die? Because it feels like I'm going to die. From the music's telling me I'm going to die. So music is my big one there.
Yeah, there was a game that that made me think of is I can't remember the name of it, but I remember watching several like let's plays of it. And it's you're walking around in a bunch of like hallways and it's usually like water filled and I don't remember if there were like puzzles or anything, but it's just a really creepy game. And the only thing I remember about it is that there's like slides or I think pools. That's the name of it. It's a liminal space horror game, and it terrifies you without cheap jump scares or monsters because there's literally nothing in the game outside of you just walking through this area, and it's just with the creepy music and the atmosphere and the really weird stuff that they put in the game. Like, it makes you feel like there's going to be a jump scare or a monster or something that you're going to have to run away from, but there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
I think my second one for a survival horror game is going to be in the title, survivability. And that is what I mean by that is like in like Resident Evil games where you have a lot of stuff to pick up, but you only have a certain amount of inventory slots. So you have to, juggle what it is that you need.
Yep. My middle pick will be characters, because it's not something that we see a lot of in particularly early survival horror games. It's just monsters coming at you and that kind of thing. But one of the tangentially to games anyway, one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen are The Strangers. Have you seen that at all?
Isn't I'm thinking of the Crazies.
Okay,
I
no,
don't. I
it's
don't
just
think I've seen The Strangers now.
it's a home invasion movie by just normal crazy people, normal wackadoo people, and that's what makes it terrifying. Is that this is just normal people that you could see on the street that have come in and just slaughtered and tortured the household. So I think those are, and in line with that in video games, characters where they have either a motivation or they're human. They're not just the big bad scary monster out of the deep. That doesn't really do it for me. It's the human aspect that is truly terrifying in survival horror games.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Um, my last one is a very polarizing take, and that is the inability to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the survival horror games where you don't have any weapons and you don't have any means of fighting back, you just have to run.
Yep, that's also my number one. So do you want to go first?
No, that was it. I mean,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
every it's just every game that I've or every survival horror that I've played where, you know, I didn't have access to any form of defense. Like it just ramps my anxiety up
Yep.
tenfold.
The Outlast games scare the shit out of me. Anything where your only option is to run and or hide. Um, yeah, that's my number one thing in what makes survival horror terrifying. 100%.
Yeah, because there's a part in Resident Evil 8 at the very beginning where you can't fight back or anything like that. So that was nerve wracking.
Why'd you have to pick Resident Evil as a series, Penny? Far out. I'm gonna hate that.
Yeah. Well, so up until 7, you have access to weapons and stuff. So
Yep.
it's once you get to 7 and then a little bit of 8, there is where the you know defenseless survival horror stuff starts to kick in.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
a lot of people like it and a lot of people hate it. It's a very polarizing take.
Yeah. Well, I think we can agree that it's terrifying at the least.
Oh yeah, because it makes you feel helpless even though it's just a game.
Yep. 100%. Okay, so that is our very first Patreon section. If you guys have any suggestions on things you'd like to see or things you'd like us to improve, or if you love what we're doing already, send us a link or send us a line, and we will take all that on board. I also get to say that patrons do get priority with listener picks. So we do have one person that signed up for Patreon already, Kana. So she gets our next listener pick when that rolls around.
I'm excited to see what she picks.
Yeah. 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 Well, in our listener game recommendation in the Discord, she had definitely had some ideas. So we'll see.
Yeah. So
All right, so we'll just leave some space for the intro music.
yeah, we're at 35 minutes. We could probably
Yeah,
start the
jeez.
episode at 36 minutes.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spectre Approved, the podcast where two gamers play a game where it's raining and raining and raining. That's the joke. No joke this week, the game sucks. I'm your host Adam and I'm joined once again by Fenris.
Hello. And I agree.
Hey. So we did a free Patreon section for this episode that will be releasing alongside the main episode, so you guys will get that one for free, but it does mean we are starting up a Patreon with some pre-banter content beforehand, so we can kind of get into the game straight away. So if you'd like to hear us talk about a bunch of different stuff we rolled in about 35 minutes this time, so 35 minutes of extra content every fortnight. Head on over to patreon.com/Spectre Approved. We love you all. Even if you don't contribute, we still love you. Thank you for listening. So this fortnight's game, Fenris, was my pick, The Sinking City. It was developed by Ukrainian studio Frogwares, known primarily for their Sherlock Holmes adventure games. And that was kind of the reason why I kind of picked it, because I had a bunch of experience with Frogwares Sherlock Holmes games previously, and that kind of led me to think, oh, let's dive in and see what their Cthulhu-esque survival horror, how they kind of do that. So it was announced in 2016, and released in June 2019, and the game marked Frogware's shift towards a more ambitious open world experience, blending Lovecraftian horror with detective gameplay, as we can see in their further kind of games after this one. Inspired by the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, particularly focusing on cosmic dread and unknowable horrors, The Sinking City placed players in the shoes of Charles Reed, a private investigator grappling with hallucinations in the flooded, decaying city of Oakmont. Before we get into our experiences, I just want to talk a bit about the game itself, because when I went to install this, I didn't know if it would still be in my library, because this was developed by Frogwares but published at the time with Nacon, who was formerly Big Ben Interactive. But a legal dispute arose between the two shortly after release. Frogwares accused Nacon of withholding payments and illegally uploading a version of the game to Steam. This conflict led to significant periods when the game was unavailable on digital storefronts and marred what could have been a more stable post-launch period. And despite the controversy, Frogwares was able to relaunch this solely under their name. And in 2021 they did that, released the editions back for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series and PC, and a remaster also was released this year.
And what a remaster it is.
So you played this on PC? And I started off playing this on PC. I thought, no, I want to go back and actually get the achievements for it, because I've done that with the majority of Frogwares games that I have played so far. Went back to the Xbox One version, because similar to what Sony did with a lot of their games, but Xbox didn't. This came with most games that were released on Xbox One got a free upgrade if you owned a Series X. This one didn't. You had to re-buy a copy of the game if you wanted the Series X version.
Of course you did.
So I had to go back to the the little old Xbox One. I think it's because they'd republished it. Because when I booted up the Xbox One version, it still had Nacon in the credits. Because I was running off a disc version of the game. Because I bought this at launch, silly me. The loading times are just horrendous. So I ended up going back to PC.
PC Master Race.
Yeah. This took me 14 hours to complete the main story with most but not all achievements. I mainly missed out on the collecting all evidence from every place, and this game has multiple endings. I wasn't going to do 3 playthroughs of this. So I did one ending and that was it.
Yeah. This game was an experience for me.
Yep. How far did you get?
I only played for 8 hours and then I tapped out. I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to like it whenever I first started, because this was my first experience with anything Lovecraftian horror related. So, and I feel like after getting halfway through the game, because I made it halfway through all your cases, and I ended after, where is it? After the Brutus Carpenter case, where you find out he's been replaced by an identical clone.
Yep. So yeah, that's
the
case 4.
mob.
Four
Yeah, the
out of
mob
9.
boss. The mob boss case. And I gave myself an ultimatum that if like nothing exciting or gripping or thrilling happened after that, I was just gonna stop. So I did.
Yep. That's pretty fair. That case is the one that almost got me as well. I remember I streamed in the Discord, and I'm like, alright, I'm going to stream this whole case just to see what people do. I was there for like 4 hours, 4.5 hours, because this case just kept going and going and going and going. And I think a big problem of that is to do with the traversal.
I didn't really have any issues with the traversal, because like once you unlock the region's fast travel point, like I mean traversal's not really that bad. Is everything else that I had an issue with.
Okay. So I guess just skipping back to the first, or the opening of the game. What were your initial thoughts? You said you weren't sure if you were going to like it. What kind of clicked that on for you?
I think that this was my first ever dive into like a mystery solving game where you had to like collect clues and you know do the whole, you know, you just said his name, what was it, Sherlock Holmes thing. So I mean I wasn't sure that I was going to be up for that, because I have a very bad brain and I'm not good at stuff like that. I always came in last place in Clue, even though that's not possible. I was always very bad at Clue. I could never put all the pieces together and figure out who killed what, who, where. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think that had something to do with it. But I really honestly think it was mainly just, you know, the Lovecraftian thing. And it's just not the medium that I should have started this lore out in.
Yeah, more than fair. I hadn't had too much experience with Lovecraft either. However, I'm just going through Frogware's games now that they've released, and I've played, owned, and finished 4 4 of their Sherlock Holmes games previously. And like I said, I bought this one day one because I was super keen for just more mystery solving. I'm the complete opposite to yourself in the fact that I love mystery games, whodunits, working out who the killer was, and majority of those games, like, I'll just devour. So like Danganronpa, LA Noire was not as much, but any sort of detective mystery game, like I've bought the shitty Sherlock Holmes games for the DS's, Phoenix Wright, any sort of mystery game I really love. So the first case I actually really enjoyed in this, despite having to play it twice, because I had to go back.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was a good introduction to how the game was going.
Wasn't.
It was a good introduction to how the game was going to play. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and like you said, in the pre-banter about what we like about, or what things make survival horror games terrifying, the atmosphere in this was just wonderful. So you arrive to the city as Charles, because he's been having a heap of nightmares, and he finds through his research that the key to these nightmares is in this town called Oakmont, which has suffered a recent flood. But you go there, you get off the ship, and you just see like desiccated squids and fish. Rotting fish is just in the streets. It's just real dank, dreary. Everyone seems like real angry. They don't like outsiders in Oakmont. So right off the bat, you're on the back foot in about trying to find these things out. So the setting itself and the first impression I kind of liked.
Yeah, it really set the tone for the rest of the game.
And yeah, I didn't know what to expect or where it was going to go. Because like I said, I don't have too much knowledge about Cthulhu. But I know that most of the games are about ritual and sacrifice and killing and that sort of thing anyway, to bring back whatever entity it is. However, I did try and do some research for the game in the fact that I got out H.P. Lovecraft's entire works. So the things about Dagon I already knew, and I want some bit more context about the Innsmouthers, because I was like, just who the fuck are these fish people? Because it's quite jarring when you see, because I think the graphics, particularly in the talking sections of the game, are quite good. Like the facial stuff is quite detailed, particularly because like, yeah, you're talking with monkey men and like the fish people, and yeah, so that part was really good. It was more actually getting into the game and the gameplay itself and the mechanics where I kind of started to fall off.
Yeah, because the gameplay mechanics are not great, especially the combat.
Yeah. None of Frogware's other investigative games have combat as a major focus at all. And I found even with aim assist, because they do have aim assist in this game to help you, and it was still rubbish. But I guess in terms of a gameplay loop, what you do across the 9 cases is you go talk to your quest giver. They normally tell you to go to a place, and you go into like your investigation phase where you pick up clues. You use what's called a mind's eye to reconstruct crime scenes, and then make a choice using your mind palace. So it's all, that side of the house is ripped out straight out of the Sherlock Holmes games.
Yeah, and from what I've read, they brought that into this game because the fans of the Sherlock Holmes games really enjoyed that mechanic.
Yeah, and I'm really with them there, because like I said, it's not clear, cut and dry. Like you can't get cases wrong per se, but every case has at least two
Yeah.
outcomes. Um, the impact it makes on the wider story is minimal at best, unfortunately. But I liked at least the illusion of choice, and you can just go off the track completely. It's quite hilarious. Some of the choices you can make using your mind palace. But how did you find this section, the non-combative section of the
I
game,
enjoyed it.
being that you hadn't had too much
I
experience?
mean, for
Yeah.
my first real experience with a whodunit mystery solving kind of deal, I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was really well laid out. It took some getting used to, trying to figure out, like what to do, and because they don't really there is no tutorial for it. It's in a sub menu that you have to find. So,
Yep.
and I mean that was good, I guess. I mean, I read through that, but I'd forget things easily, so I just kind of had to play it out as I, went along. But I mean, I enjoyed it.
Did you not have the notifications popping up as you were doing stuff though?
Uh, Explain?
So for example, when you walk off the deck and you talk with the guy there, Vanderbeer, and then he tells you to go find Throgmorton. You go see Throgmorton, and he uh, recruits you to find the murderer of his son in the house behind him. You walk into the house, and you'll get like a pop up on your screen, and you press back. Well, I was using Xbox 360 controller. You press back, and it goes straight into the menu for you, and then you can go down there, and it goes through every mechanic.
Excuse me. Maybe it did. Um,
Okay.
but like I said, anytime I play a game that I'm not familiar with, I usually surf the menus and check out everything. So I had an
Yep.
idea of what I was walking into. But then figuring it out on that first case was a little rough, but I eventually got it. And then once I got used to it, solving all the other cases that I got through were relatively easy.
Yeah. Cool. I guess one of the systems, the big systems in this that I didn't like was the crafting. Um,
I didn't have any issues with that.
because you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, while you're exploring, you find these quote unquote chests, and then you grab items out of them, and then you stockpile these items, and then you go to the not equipment. I think it's the items menu, and you have a choice of like four different kinds of ammunition, two different kinds of traps, a health pack, and a sanity pack or something. And you just hit a button and it crafts it for you if you have the items. I I found that to be pretty basic and easy to do.
I guess because by the end of the game you're doing a lot of combat. So I guess my problem's with the combat rather than that. I just found myself running out of bullets really,
Well,
really
when
easily
you have
and getting really frustrated about the
yeah, and when you
resources.
have enemies that, like to sidestep your reticle every time you put your reticle on them, it gets frustrating. And
Yep.
oh, I was just gonna
Good.
say, and honestly, with resources, the two of us, we kind of fast tracked this game and just went through the main story. And I'm almost positive that if you had explored more and done more and, done more side quests, you would have had a lot more resources at your disposal.
Yeah, that's probably true. Except in the what do they call them? Not exclusion zones, but the areas of the city that were just full of overrun by
Oh,
enemies.
the
They
danger
had
zones, yeah.
Yeah, they had no benefit other than to waste your resources. Um, because I went through a couple of them, and they're purely combat training stuff. Because they don't have resources in them. You don't get any story or anything extra. You get XP from killing the enemies, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you also have XP, an XP meter to give yourself skills when you get skill
yeah,
points.
I didn't really do too much with the skills. I did the two to make my sanity meter drop less. And then I think I did one to make my pistol do more damage. I think that was about all I did.
Yep. Yeah. I did the gain XP faster, the sandy, and the damage as well. But that's one good thing that came out of the Cthulhu side of this game, was the sandy meter. So as you're walking through Oakmont, and you see horrific things or get hit by certain enemies, your sandy meter goes up, and your character begins to hallucinate. And there's a sort of side quest, but it's at a main area, at the hospital, where you talk to a doctor, and he's like, "Oh, try these pills," and you go, "Okay," and you take them, and your sanity meter goes all the way up, and your character uncontrollably puts his gun to his head and nearly blows his brains out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was a super interesting bit. I really enjoyed the sanity meter, and it being another system you kind of had to monitor.
Yeah, anytime I noticed my sanity meter going down and it was below halfway, I quickly just turned around and ran the other way. I didn't want to mess with that because I didn't know what was going to
Yeah.
happen.
It puts I don't think anything can actually hurt you, but it puts like apparitions of monsters in
Yeah,
front of
see,
you.
I didn't know that
Um,
that's what that was. Like, I thought I didn't know what that was. Just popped up on the screen, and I was like, is this something that's coming my way? Like, what is this? Because I had
yep.
several of the little four-legged mer beasts or whatever they're called,
Stygians.
and
Yeah.
those popped up on occasion. And then on a few occasions, I had this random guy in a white trench coat like pointing, and I don't know what that meant. It was very confusing.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the sanity meter, even though I didn't really deal with it that much. And it really reminded me of an old GameCube game that I've always wanted to play called Eternal Darkness.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's a psychological horror instead of a survival horror, because it makes you, the player, question your sanity, because apparently the game, like, when your sanity meter drops, like, the game glitches out, and like it'll just all of a sudden go to the GameCube start screen, and it's wild. So, but that's what the sanity meter reminded me of.
Yeah. I believe, and I could be wrong there because I don't remember when the first or the Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth came out. But I believe that Eternal Darkness was the first one to use Sandy Meter, and I'd heard very similar things to yourself. I'd never played it at the time, or now even, but heard that it did a really good use of the Sandy Meter, and it's kind of evolved
Yeah,
from there.
but
Um,
I mean, I mean, but outside of the other gameplay stuff, I don't feel like this game really respected your time. I felt like it was too long for what it was doing, and the gameplay loop was too repetitive.
Yeah, 100%. Particularly when, and I'll use that fourth case that you kind of finished up on. You had to go so many places for just little things and revisit places, and to the point of not really progressing the story. Like the whole point of that case was doing a favor for the mob boss so you can get the guy out of Oakmont so he gives you info on the EOD. So that was what, in my mind, should have been a really short case, because in terms of the overarching plot, not much was happening. Like, this was like a side favor you were doing for a side character.
And I feel like stuff like that could have been, a side quest.
Yep. 100%. Did you have any bugs?
I did.
I saw the one funny photo you sent me.
At some point, the midriff of my Reed just disappears, and the tail of his jacket was just like clipped through his body and draped over his groin. It was kind of funny.
Very good. Very good. I also had a few instances of clipping in like the cutscenes. One of the bartenders at one of the bar was standing halfway through the bar when I was talking to him. And also while I was traversing on the water, anytime I would hit like a barrel or anything with my boat, the physics engine just went nuts and either got it stuck through a building or it flew into the air, like Superman had hit it or One Punch Man had hit it, or my boat just got stuck on friggin' liquid, what was meant to be water, and I had to traverse around it.
That's weird.
So, obviously Frogwares put a lot of effort into this remake in making it good to go.
And like you said during the Patreon bit, is like, it's a remake. Like, I feel like they should have put a little more effort into making the gameplay even just the tiniest bit less janky.
Yep.
But I mean, it is what it is. You can't win them all.
Yeah, and surprisingly though, like, there's a sequel coming out for this year. So it must have sold well enough that they had enough money to do a sequel.
Yeah, I mean,
which is wild.
I mean, it's. I'm just gonna call it what it is. It might be, the Pokemon of Lovecraftian games. Build it and they will come.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because I went back to the Xbox 360 one, so I didn't have all the DLC that got built in with the remaster. The DLC is still really, really expensive for the base versions of this game. Like, I'm talking $25 each. Yeah, each. And that's Australian dollars, so I don't know what that would be. Probably that'd still be around 15, I think, US dollars. Which is pretty expensive for DLC from a 2018 game.
Yeah, I'm looking at reviews for this game. And I mean, Destructoid gave it an 8.5, Game Informer 7.5, GameSpot gave it a 3.5. There we go. IGN gave it a 7.8. PC Gamer in US gave it a 66 out of 100. I mean, like, it's got relatively decent reviews. For Metacritic, it's...
Is that for the remaster?
I believe it's
original?
for the remaster.
Okay.
But for the Metacritic reviews are all over the place for PC 71, PS4 64, Xbox One 66. I don't know what NS is. Nintendo Switch 61,
Nintendo
PS5
Switch.
75.
It was very poorly optimized on the Switch, I heard.
And then the Xbox Series S 77. So like the scores are all over the place from Metacritic. But
Okay.
I mean, they're still relatively high. So I mean, it had to have done really good.
There we go. We just suck at games. There we go.
See, I was looking for numbers, like number of sales that they did, but I can't find anything.
Oh yeah, good luck. Yeah. Yeah, companies like to keep that pretty close to the chest these days. Anything pre-2015, I think you're alright finding numbers, but not with modern games. And it's so hard. I imagine it'd be really hard to track digital sales as well.
Probably, yeah. I mean, all that stuff is probably really easy to see in house, but I don't think, like you said, they would really release those numbers for the public to see.
Yep.
So what about music? Nothing really jumped out to me with music.
Yeah, no specific tracks, but like I spoke about in the Patreon, music coming in at the right places, which it did in a number of these cases. It ramped up my anxiety, particularly in the underwater portions of this game. I feel like both the music, the sound, and the visuals were all kind of at their peak in those sections. Because like I don't have a fear of water or underwater or anything like that, but I think just with Reed stuck in his old-timey diving suit, your traversal's really limited. You don't have your same weapons that you've always had, and the murkiness and just unknown of going underwater in this game was done really well.
I will agree with you there. Mostly on the fact that I do have a slight amount of thalassophobia, and so the underwater scenes like that, knowing that it is a Cthulhu-based game and knowing that Cthulhu is a squid-faced person, and then actually coming across, an eldritch. I don't even know if it's an eldritch. It was a big fish with a lot of tentacles, and then it started chasing me.
Yep.
So that was a little terrifying, yeah.
But in terms of like the overworld, yeah, not overly. I found the overworld itself between the levels, and like you said, you used a lot of fast travel. I did a lot of walking. It was boring. Like, people would say the same lines over and over. The NPCs, if you point a gun at the NPCs though, I did notice they recoil in fear. So that was pretty cool that they actually had a reaction to you pointing your gun at them. I remember one interaction I had where two people were kind of fighting in the street. I went over and pulled my gun at them, and they stopped fighting, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, boss," and they kind of like backed off away from each other. Then that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
The guns sounded like guns. I don't think there was too much there. Again, we're talking 40s, so it's a 9mm pistol and a Tommy gun. I think I didn't use the shotgun too much.
I did a little bit. Yeah, you have I think it's like a 38, or it might be a 9mm pistol, and then you have a 38 revolver. I don't think I even picked up the Tommy gun or the submachine gun, whatever it was. And then at some point I found a shotgun in my inventory, so I used it on the only boss in the game.
Yep. Yeah, that was weird. We'll get to that in the
Yeah,
story, I guess. Um, the voice acting was terrible, but I feel maybe that was deliberate.
probably.
I'm hoping I'm not giving him too much credit, but I'm hoping they really do the old school, like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, early style there, where you're in a place where things aren't quite right anyway, so the people don't sound quite right.
Yeah. Um, my husband happened to look over when I was in dialogue with one of the Innsmouthers of one of the fish people, and he was like, "What are you playing? That looks like Castiel talking to, yeah, a depressed Castiel talking to a fish man." And I took another look, and he was absolutely correct. But
Yep. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the voice cast here to see if there was anyone notable.
uh, I
Uh,
I honestly thought that the voice acting wasn't terrible. I feel like from what I saw, the the movement of the mouth didn't quite match up with the words. So that was a little, but that's just a nitpicky thing for me.
yeah, okay. So Xander Mobus voiced Charles Reed, and he also voiced Robert Throgmorton
Oh,
as well.
okay. That's two very different
Um,
voices.
and he's done he does the voice of the Persona 5 protagonist, and also voices Joker in the anime
Oh,
as well.
okay.
So, and he's done quite a few anime as well
So he's a
that would probably be familiar as you scroll through. So he's done quite a bit of voice work. Um, Legend of Heroes and Yakuza recently. Yeah. So there we go. I didn't recognize his voice when he spoke, but
I didn't either. I'd have no idea who he is. I didn't recognize any of the other voices either.
no, not at all. But I think they did a good job. Some sounded absolutely fucking creepy.
Yeah, and I feel like, with the overall theme of the game, that was probably a good thing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, I feel like the characters were kind of well written, at least. I don't feel like, I mean, everything kind of fit the theme of the story, and that's all I really got to say about that.
Yeah. We've talked about the premise being that you get given different stuff from different people, different cases that you have to solve for them. You're a problem solver. You're a detective, even though he was a Navy diver in his past life, which I found weird because being in the military and also a private detective, you'd think he'd be able to shoot well.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I guess that kind of tied into, or that's their MacGuffin for how he was able to just put on a diving suit and go thousands of feet under the water,
Yeah.
as well. And your overall goal is to find out why you're having these nightmares and stop them.
And it kind of makes sense the way they did the story, because the way that you find out more information about why you as Reed are having these night terrors is, you're doing, you know I almost said hustle, but that's not the word. You're helping characters in this city solve their own little mini mysteries, and you know, that's where the whole mystery whodunit kind of thing falls into. So I mean, I feel like they kind of tied that in pretty well.
Initially, yeah. And I'll get to it more in the spoiler section, but I feel like the last portion of this game was really rushed. Um, yeah, it felt really rushed. So I think they put a lot of their resources maybe into the first couple of cases, and then I don't know whether there was crunch or like with the remake, if they own the rights, they should have had all the time in the world to fix it. But yeah, honestly, it just felt rushed. But I'll go more into that in the spoiler. Um, in I liked the. What do you think of having to use the map?
I enjoyed the way that the map was used. I feel like it could have been better because, as I said before, I forget things very easily. So, the way
Yep.
that you would go to a new area on the map was you would have a clue, and in the clue would be like, oh, well, this person usually lives, on this street, in between this street and this street. So I had a really difficult time, and I kept finding myself pulling up the clue and cross referencing with the map and making sure that I had my street names right. And I feel like it would have been a lot easier because you had a map to just put a pin where this person lived.
Uh, you can put
I mean, you
custom pins.
can, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you have to remember what street is where and what street is what. And I don't know. It was difficult for me. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know that back in the Expedition 33 episode, I really gave the game some flack for not having a good map. Um, and this is very much open exploring as well in this game. But I really enjoyed it. I liked how the clues gave you just enough to be able to get where you need to go. Um, it was more the fact that I couldn't find many fast travel points after a certain point, and there was a lot of back and forthing. But I feel like the map was done quite well, as long as you don't overpin it. I made sure that I only had one pin on at a time, so I
Yeah, I
didn't
did
get
the
lost.
same thing. And I found that there was only one fast travel point per area in the city. And I think with the bigger areas, there was two because I remember, and I don't remember, I think it was Reeds or something, or Leeds. I don't, it was the lower left part of the map. There was two. There was an eastern fast travel and a western fast travel. So I guess depending on how big the area was, it. But I also didn't do a whole lot of exploring, so there may have been two fast travel points per area.
Yeah, neither. I very much stuck to the path that was going to get me where I needed to go the quickest. Um, I like how it warned you were coming up to an exclusion zone before you ran into one,
Yeah,
both on the screen as well as having that white symbol painted on the fence. So I didn't just go walking down an alleyway and get swarmed by friggin' heaps of monsters.
yeah. Um, Back to the map and traversal. It took me a minute to understand where you had to go because in one of the context clues that you get randomly somewhere, or maybe it was in a sub menu or something, but there at the beginning, I had a lot of issues trying to figure out which building I had to go into, and
Ah,
and then
yep.
I found out that each like none of the doors will open, and the only doors that do open have a little like mark on them that is clearly visible and you
Yep.
can see it. And then if you go into your, I don't remember what it was called, so I'm going to call it a spidey sense. Um, yeah,
That's fair. Yeah.
it highlights the little sigil on the door, so you know that's the door you have to go into. So that made, figuring out where to go in which building a lot easier for me.
Yep. Yeah, so doors that you can enter will have that symbol on them. But there's also a different symbol on fences when you're about to hit an exclusion
Yeah,
zone. Mind's Eye.
that's
That was
it,
his
mind's
spidey
eye.
sense.
Which
Yep.
also,
But yeah, that was
yeah,
really
the
helpful.
mind's eye thing was really cool. I really like how they implemented that. And I don't know why, because your mind's eye is supposed to be a detective thing. So I don't understand why it depleted your sanity meter as quickly as it did. But again, I don't know anything
Yeah.
about Lovecraft.
I don't know if that was maybe like, because even when you came across dead bodies, like whether you're in your mind's eye or not, just say you came across a random dead body in a case, that would spike your sanity
Yeah,
as well. So I think it was just exposure to like the horrors of the world would affect Reed's sanity.
could be. Because, I mean, the whole
Don't know.
premise of the game outside of, the story is, I just something like the more you know, the less you want to know, or something like that. It's essentially just like the more you know about, the Cthulhu and what's going on, like the less sanity you leave with or something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about Lovecraft.
Yep. Um. So would you replay
No,
it?
hard no.
Nah, same here.
It's not for me.
Yep. Um. And I feel like I slogged through it enough to get to one ending, so I'm not going to go through again to see the others. I read up on the ending. I will probably check out the sequel, just to see if they improved on anything, because it's apparently a whole new protagonist, whole new story. So that might be enough to get me to check out the sequel.
Okay.
And there was more than enough content. Like I was bored with just the main story stuff, let alone the side
Yeah. See,
content.
I feel like that was something else. It's just the game was just overall boring to me. Even the combat, it's just it wasn't exciting enough, and I feel like they did too much survival horror, and I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they either needed to go back to what Frogwares does best and just do the adventure gameplay with no combat, and potentially just have you without weapons and have to run away from
I feel
enemies.
like that would have made it a little bit more
Um,
exciting.
yeah, or just go full combat and actually have good combat
Yeah.
mechanics. But yeah, we'll see what the sequel brings. I won't be picking it though.
No, I won't either. And I mean,
And I guess
oh no,
it.
I was
Oh,
gonna say like those are pretty much my frustration, my frustrating viewpoints on that. It's just boring, and I don't know anything about the lore of this game.
um, I guess yeah, there wasn't any real moments that kind of stood out as excellent either. Um, it was more just being involved with the detective mechanics. It just made me want to go play another Sherlock Holmes game. Which surprisingly, Frogwares have also made another Cthulhu game with Sherlock Holmes in it, though, called Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened.
Okay.
So if it's ever on sale really cheap, last I checked it was around $35, which after playing this, I'm not going to pay that. So if it ever goes on sale for under $10, I'll check that out.
Okay.
Because it might be better. Because it was made after this.
I mean, I'd be willing to check it out, but I don't think I would want to pay an exorbitant amount of money for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this game was not fun for me.
Yep.
But again, I've already explained my reasonings for this, but I mean, if you're a die-hard Lovecraftian lover and you love Cthulhu and all that, I mean, you should definitely play this because it would be right up your alley. It's just nowhere on my radar. So,
is this going to be your first fail for the podcast?
This is definitely my first fail. I just couldn't get into it. But
yeah,
no, go ahead.
Despite beating this game, it's also going to be a fail for me, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to this, and I thought that both of us would actually end up loving this game. But just between the mechanics and the length, coupled with how they just played the story out, I wouldn't recommend this for anyone, even if you like Cthulhu. Go play Frogware's other Sherlock Holmes if you like investigation games, particularly Crime and Punishment or Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. If you only have modern systems, Crime and Punishment I think is locked on the 360 PS3 era. Both of those are excellent, masterful with their detective adventure gameplay. But yes, also a fail from me.
Yeah, so shoutouts.
Yeah, thank you once again, everyone, for listening. We will be having a spoiler section after our music wall for this. However, if you are leaving us at this time, please go check us out on every other platform. Like I said, for our brand new Patreon, www.patreon.com/SpectreApproved. Go check out the TSMP Discord where all the cool people hang out in the Steam Machine network there, and all their other great podcasts. bit.ly/TSMP Discord.
And speaking of Discord, our benevolent leader, Dalton Suter, aka Now the Nightmare, he produces all of the music that I think the majority of our podcasters use for their podcasts. But you can find him over at nowthenightmare.bandcamp.com. So go give him a like and a follow and buy his stuff because he makes some really good music.
Yep. In particular, check out the music channel in the Discord where he chucks all his covers where you can listen to them for free. And if you love them, go pay him some money to find out his individual stuff as well. You can track me down mainly on the Discord. That's my main place of hangout. I also chuck up a lot of stuff on Blue Sky, Instagram, and X occasionally, as much as I don't want to. I also put up a fair few questions, or you can track what both Fenris and I are playing on Infinite Backlog. So head on over there.
And you can find me at Discord, Steam, Epic, EA, GOG, Final Fantasy XIV on Gilgamesh. I'm Fenris Wolfsbane everywhere. So
cool. And if you would be so kind if you could please leave some ratings, shares, and questions for our next episode. We love hearing from you guys. We know you guys listen. Maybe it's the way I distribute the podcast. But if you could specifically go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review, that would be much appreciated. And if you have some feedback in that review, we'll read it out on the show.
Yeah, so until the next episode, thank you for listening. And oh, wait, before we sign off, what's the next game?
Yeah, so it was a wheel spin, and we got my pick for the Persona series. So we're starting out with the first one of those, called Shin Megami Tensei Persona.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the PSP remake or port or something like that?
So it took a while for the series to hit the West. It started out on PS1, and then there was a PSP remake. And speaking to people much more knowledgeable than myself, they recommended the PSP remake as the best jumping in point.
Awesome. So we're going to have to emulate that then, because the PSP is dead.
Yeah, I do not own one.
I did, but I don't remember what happened to it. So.
Alright, thank you everyone, and see you on the other side. Nah, go for it, man. Welcome back, everyone, on the other side of our spoiler wall for The Sinking City. So I guess for this one, we're just going to run through each individual case, because that's all we did, and then I'll talk about the endings at the end. So, like I said in the main episode, you come to the city of Oakmont in the United States as Charles Reed, private detective ex-Navy, looking for the source of the dreams. And you run into Throgmorton, who is in the least racial sense, a monkey man, because he literally looks like a monkey. um,
Yeah, that threw me. I wasn't expecting an ape person in this game.
yeah, yep. Ah, my I'll just chuck it in here anyway. The game actually kind of leans into the wokeness here, because it warned you at the start. Oh, these aren't our views, but the views at the time were quite racist. So you
Yeah.
get almost like a content warning, which is weird because, yeah, but also it's set in the 40s. Like, I don't
It's
know.
set in the 20s.
Oh, 20s.
Yeah.
Even earlier then, far out. Yeah, so even more racism. But, uh, like, that's all through Lovecraft's works anyway. And you even meet the KKK. Literally got the KKK in a later part of the game.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll get there. So Charles goes and talks to Throgmorton, who says he will help you if you find his son,
Yeah.
who has returned from a recent sea expedition.
Yeah. So that ties into the main storyline, and the first case you get is called Fathers and Sons, and you find out that Robert's son Albert has died through one of your first detective deal where you do your detective stuff, and you find out that he went mad due to a psychic breakdown after an underwater expedition, and you discover evidence pointing towards a hidden force beneath the city that's influencing minds. And that leads into the second case, Quid Pro Quo, which I feel they missed the mark on this one because it could have been called Squid Pro Quo.
I think you jumped one.
Did I?
Yeah. So that's not what I have on my chapter list. Just going back to the first case, you also find out that it was an Innsmouther that actually murdered Throgmorton Jr. And you have the choice at the end of the chapter to turn him in or not. Did you turn him in?
No, I did not.
Me neither. I believe that it would further fuel the racial tension between the locals and the Innsmouthers if I did.
Yeah.
Did you believe that he did it, or that he did it under madness?
I feel like he did it under madness.
Okay.
Just because through the context clues, I don't remember if it was a later case or not, but you find out that it was during a later case. But you eventually find out that the madness that has been spreading was originating from Albert.
Yep. Yeah, and you also find out later on that the Innsmouther murdered him out of hatred, not madness. So he was completely with it at the time.
Yeah.
So I also chose to let him go. And later on down the track, he leaves you a letter saying, "Thanks for letting me go. I actually did it. I wasn't mad."
Yeah.
So my second case I had was called Lost at Sea, where Throgmorton hires you to track down the rest of the crew from Albert's expedition, who was stranded underground at a dig site.
Yeah. I did skip over. I did skip over that one. But
It's pretty short, but it's also your first kind of interaction with diving underwater.
yeah. So I'm sorry. I just lost my place.
No, that's all right.
We went over Father and Sons. And then yeah, the next one is Quid Pro Quo, yeah?
No, Lost at Sea. So you find out the chief researcher has been kidnapped by the EOD when you go underground, and you have the choice of leaving the crew trapped undersea and telling Throgmorton they died, or bringing them with you back up to the surface.
That's right.
You guys can tell the impact this story had on us by how much we remember.
Yeah. I'm also...
I chose to leave them down there because I didn't want the madness that Throgmorton's son had coming up and making my combat potentially more.
Yeah, so
by having to fight off mad citizens.
with this one, when you find out that the madness is originating from Albert, I had just figured that everyone else was safe, so I chose to save them.
Ooh, okay. I wonder if that had any gameplay consequences for you. Probably not.
With as far as I got, it didn't.
So you could walk around the streets safely still?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That would be actually good gameplay if that choice led to citizens attacking you later on.
Yeah.
And then we get to Squid Pro Quo. Yep, officially renaming it. Don't care what it was in the game. Where you have to infiltrate the EOD to track down this researcher. And you end up finding that the EOD will recruit you into their ranks if you find out who's been poisoning the fish that they've been donating to the wider populace in need. So you go to their warehouse, track down the poisoner, and you can decide to either help him as they took his family away and turned them into cultists. And you can also find out that the EOD have been doing bad practices in the basement and are a secret cult to Dagon, who is a large fish god who likes to mate with women and have half fish, half people babies.
Which is where the Innsmouthers came from.
Yeah.
Yep. For this one, I kind of felt for the quest giver because his wife seemed to be kind of mean, and
yeah.
I don't do cults, so and I was getting a very 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 big Christianity feeling from this, and I have very strong feelings about that. So I was against the lady who stole her child because of, Dagon.
Yeah.
And I was firmly in the father's corner with this quest. So I helped him out.
I also helped the poisoner.
Yeah.
From the justification to lessen the EOD's strength on the populace.
Yeah.
Because they were, growing more as a cult. And I didn't want that. So even though we poisoned the city, I feel it was for the greater good.
Yes, definitely.
Pretty much all of these choices as you move through the game get more and more just choosing between one shitty choice.
Or another.
There's no, well, I think that's another Lovecraftian thing. There's no good choices in this game.
Yeah. And then the next quest is where you're hired by the crime boss.
Yep, Brutus Carpenter.
Yeah, who survived an assassination attempt on him. And he mentions something about his son and how, his son, he wants you to go find his son, who he is firmly stanced on had nothing to do with it. Spoiler alert, it was him. So you go and find his son, who is an army veteran, who you learn wants to turn the family away from crime and use their fortune to help the needy. And I liked that because I am anti-crime boss. So, you find out that Graham made a bargain with the Redemption Church, who worship, and I'm going to butcher this, Shub-Niggurath. and use their magic to create a docile duplicate of his father. And at the end, you can either support his idealism and cult problems, or you can put Brutus back as head of household, and because crime boss is gonna crime boss. I chose the more pacifist option and let the son take the head of household, and I killed the father.
Ooh, okay. Cool. This is where we differ. For two main reasons. First is that I was really getting over the game at this point, and siding with Brutus was the shorter option. Because this is the end of the stream that I talked about earlier. It was about 2 a.m. my time, and I was getting to the end of this, and I was really bloody over it. And this level also made me fight that stupid boss.
Yeah, the only boss in the game that's halfway through, oddly enough.
Down with Graham, down with the Church of Redemption. I'm choosing Brutus. Just because all you really have to do there is go up and shoot Graham in the face with your gun, and that's it. That ends the level.
Oh. See, when you usurp the previous head of household, there is no easy way to do it. You just have to start shooting at him. And I missed my first shot, so I immediately had all of the crime people trying to kill me. And this is me who hasn't done any exploring and don't have any really, a plethora of bullets. So I had 4 shotgun shots. But luckily the AI in this game was kind of stupid, because I kind of camped out on the bottom floor, and so they were trying to get to me from the top floor without going down the stairs, so I just killed Brutus from the bottom floor and then ran away.
Okay. What happened to clone Brutus? If you put Graham in.
I went back there and he's just hanging out in his room. He doesn't really do anything. I think he's just a placeholder, just so the family seems like everything's normal.
Okay, cool. So the overall goal of that mission was so that either Brutus or Graham would put you in touch with the smuggler to smuggle your EOD contact out of the city, whose name is Fred. I like Fred. So that goes into the next case called Nosedive. So Graham or Brutus organises a meeting for you with one of the heads of the EOD called Ebenote Blackwood, who's one of the founding families of Oakmont. So here you go to, I think it's the Orion Club, because you're trying to track down, you're still trying to find this researcher, right? So Ebenote says that, she's at this club. You go to the club, and it's full of KKK members who have found out that the EOD is working with the Innsmouthers, and they hate that. They're like, we're just racist, so we're going to kill you. So you have to go through wave after wave after wave of shitty fights here, and you end up with fighting the KK boss leader, who is called Imperial Wizard Gordon Meyer.
What?
You then get an address to track Blackwood down again, because it seems like he's betrayed you. And you go through a bunch of stuff, and it ends up being, you end up going to an underwater zealot's hideout, and you end up questioning Blackwood where Dr. Doe is, who you're trying to find it. That's the researcher you're trying to find. You then find out that you're one of these chosen few who are receiving visions, but only one of those people can be the one that fulfills the prophecy and saves the world. So you have to decide if you kill Harriet or try to save her. I chose to save her, but she ends up dying anyways, showing that there can only be one person to fulfill the prophecy.
Oh.
So then at the next case called Dance with the Devil or Deal with the Devil, you wake up in hospital to find that a man called Billy Drunnen found you and brought you there. You go back to the beach where you washed up, but you find that it doesn't match up with what Billy initially told you. So you go back to the hospital as he's not there, and there's evidence that takes you back to the Blackwood Manor. He's not there, but because you're trying to get revenge on Blackwood, essentially, for putting you in this situation. So you go to a place called the Cannery, which I presume is like a can factory, which is the escape point from the city where everyone goes there, and that's where he'll be. And when you go there, you meet a member of the Yellow Kings gang and find out that the Chosen end up going crazy, regardless of what happens to them. And then you meet Blackwood once again, and he says, "Ooh, take this crystal, and it will free you. If you do this ritual with me, it'll free you." And he's like, "I've got the seal to the secret city called Thyth Gonar." It's CTHY Gonar. This is where the story really goes off the wall, by the way. So I'm going to be given a lot of exposition and a lot of crazy shit's just going on. You then have to choose whether to go through with the ritual or not to free you from your madness. I did do the ritual because there's an achievement attached to it, and it doesn't change the outcome either way.
Oh.
Yeah. And before all this, the guy that you meet at the dock, Johannes Vandenberg, asked you to return to him once you have the seal. And it turns out that if you accept the ritual, though, because you black out when the ritual happens, as you do, the madness, in quotes, inside you ends up coming out anyway, and Ebonite Blackwood was killed.
Yeah, I'm following along, and I mean, it seems like the story kind of ramps up a little bit, and you know, the eldritch horror really starts to come out in the latter half of the game.
Yeah. Yep. So it turns out that Ebonite was the reason why the city has all the wild beasts there. So he was the one letting them out of like the portal and summoning them.
Yeah.
In the infested areas. So he's the reason why the majority of things were happening in the game thus far. But as RPGs like to do, there's always another boss. So you go see Vandenberg because you've got this crystal, and he ends up being murdered. Like, you find him murdered. When you're finished investigating, you're accused with his murder and get arrested, and you're bailed out by Graham or Brutus, whichever one you saved, as a thank you for helping you out.
Okay.
So then you have to track down who murdered Vandenberg and clear your name, essentially, so you can keep working to remove the wild beast from the city for good. So there's 3 ways you can kind of do this. I went with the easiest one, which is framing a senator who is working for the EOD, who said that he saw you kill Vandenberg. So you can take some evidence and plant it on him, and that shows that he wasn't actually the murderer either, though, in reality, but you can plant the evidence on him and end the mission a heap earlier than normal.
That's probably the route I would have taken, because I'm also anti-politician.
And yeah, he was willing to just make something up to get you done, because it all comes back to this gang. And the next level, Fleeing Phoenix, again, it's not related to the main story. This one here goes completely off the wall. It's about a researcher who's an expert on the Cthuliean city. I'm not going to try and pronounce its name. And was going to help you find it. So you go to his apartment, and he's resurrected a Mayan priestess who needs human blood to sustain her powers. So before he will help you, you need to take her down. And you can either kill him, kill her, or kill them both. I killed them both. Because what kind of idiot resurrects a Mayan priestess?
Right?
Yeah. Anyway. He tells you where the city is. Long story short, you go down there, you fight a heap of cultists again, but the game culminates in the Mass Effect 3-way. There's 3 pedestals with 3 retrocognition tears, and you choose which pedestal you want to do. One pedestal, Reed will sacrifice himself, which restarts the cycle. Mankind is safe for a few hundred years, but Reed will be killed and the whole thing will start over and repeat. Reed, on one pedestal, you simply leave. He says, no, I'm not going to be the chosen one. And he just leaves and goes back to Boston. And this leaves the city to its fate. And the third pedestal releases the daughter, which is this Cthuliean law, end of the world kind of monster. So you release her, she ends mankind.
So what I'm reading here is that if you go that route, if you accept your destiny and unleash Cthulha, who apparently is Cthulhu's daughter, she will give birth to Cthulhu's reincarnation, and that will destroy the world. So, and then something you didn't touch on, if you refuse the choice, is that you do go back to Boston, but years later Vanderberg joins Reed in Boston at a bar as the city begins to flood. So I guess what that means is that the events in Oakmont just transfer over to Boston, and the cycle just starts over again, I guess.
Yep. I chose the sacrifice route. It's the best choice of a bad situation, I guess.
Yeah, it takes you out of the...
Yeah, Reed dies, but humanity's safe for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
And that's the story. It's definitely the strong point, I think, despite the bits where it goes off tangent. And it gets good. I guess it's just not worth slogging through the combat, and all the other shit that we talked about in the main app.
Yeah, like I said, it's just the whole thing was a slog, and there were a lot of things that could have been done better, which we previously touched on.
So that is the story of Sinking City, folks. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up, Fenris?
Concerning your question 2 weeks ago, no, I do not like tentacles.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, so that was the Sinking City, folks. Join us in 2 weeks for Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I am Adam.
And I'm Fenris.
And happy gaming.